This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, Rusty back here with your latest Meteo Mundo forecast for this Thursday, December the 28th. I hope you're having a great day. Coming up in this video, again, we'll be monitoring some areas that will have a lot of wind. We'll have some areas that will have a good chance for some rain, the potential even for some continued flooding through portions of the Caribbean and in the Bahamas as well. And I want you to stick around to the end of the video. I do have a special announcement as well. But as we get started here on this Thursday, thank you so much for hitting that like button. I appreciate you so much. Let's get into the story. We are watching at another cold front with some clouds and some wind moving through portions of the Bahamas into the Northwest Caribbean. This is going to bring some heavier rain in some of these areas, stretching all the way back towards Cancun. And it's going to be bringing in a lot in the way of some wind. Now, on this Thursday afternoon, look at the thick clouds rolling across, especially the Northwest Bahamas, from Walker's Key to Grand Bahama, down towards New Providence and Eleuthera and Abaco and Andros and Bimini. Clouds and some good rain as well. Take a look at the radar presentation for you right now. And again, this will pop on. This is our live radar out of Miami, and you can see all of the rain coming in. Some heavy rainfall, especially on the northern sides of Andros, through Bimini and portions of Grand Bahama. That is just some really solid rain. It's also going to come with some good wind, and this is going to really kick up the surf and sea conditions as well. So I want to start off this video kind of what's happening now. We'll talk about the wind and the sea conditions across the Bahamas and the Caribbean, and then look at how the rain will play out. But a lot of rain on this Thursday. Now, I'm glad the weather was a lot better for Boxing Day. I want to congratulate the Saxons for winning the 2023 Boxing Day Junkanoo Parade there in the Bahamas. From all the pictures in the video that I've seen, the weather cooperated. I'm glad it's not today because, again, you are in store for a good punch of rain that will last at least through tomorrow morning, and then there's going to be a lot of wind. So that's what it looks like kind of in the grand scheme as far as the rain goes there. Again, there have been other areas where we've had some heavier rain. Barbados, I'm talking about you. You've had some flash flooding lately as well. We'll highlight that as well. But certainly this front that'll be moving again through the Caribbean and the Western Atlantic, that's going to have some big impacts to our area. So let's get started with the wind. As I mentioned, I'm going to switch over to this wind vector product here, and I'm actually going to put on the actual wind speeds. Going to loop this up over the next 5 days. We've mentioned here in the last couple of videos how the wind is going to be a big story, really kicking up surf and sea conditions and bringing in some heavier rain. So we'll let this roll through one more time, and there's going to be a lot of wind at the beginning of the new year as well. So let's start off again in the Bahamas with how the winds are going to be moving through with this front. Now, at this point in time, the winds are kind of all over the place. We have some southerly winds in the central and the southeast Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos. Winds are beginning to swing out of the north, and that will generally be the wind direction here as we get into our Friday and over the weekend. Winds coming out of the north. The arrow is pointing to where the winds are headed on this map. And again, you can see that this north wind will drive all the way down through the Turks and Caicos. But again, wind speeds, if I back this back up as this front comes through, will be 15 to 20 knots, but certainly some higher wind gusts as well, especially in the Gulf Stream. This is going to really kick up the sea conditions, at least for a brief time, in the Bahamas. But that wind is also going to be driving all the way down to Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, those winds turning more out of the north, and certainly well into the Caribbean. Places like Jamaica and the Cayman Islands are going to have very fresh northeast winds over the weekend. Again, you're looking at winds in knots right now in the 20 to 25 knot wind variety. Again, that's going to be very rough, and it is going to spell some rain, and these winds will turn north and northeast all the way through the majority of the Caribbean. So there's a big push of wind coming in with this next front here that will really freshen up the breeze in most areas out of the north to northeast, especially into the weekend and the first couple of days of 2024. Also to note, there is a massive storm system coming off of the United States East Coast early in the next week. Look at these winds here as we get into the first and the second. That will be somewhere in the 30 plus knot range. Now, these are the open waters in the Gulf Stream, but again, extremely strong winds. So that is a big story. That's what the winds look like, and we'll take a look at some of the forecasts as well. As a matter of fact, one of the first things I want to do here is look at the wave heights associated with those winds. So again, you're looking at this product that takes you all the way through the first several days of January. It's on the top right-hand side of your screen. Again, look at the push of wind. Look how it drives in those north to northeast winds. Now, the highest wave heights are going to be on the eastern side of the Bahamas, the northern side of the Turks and Caicos, northern side of Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. Another maximum of some wave heights will be in the Northwest Caribbean. You see that towards Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Watch as we get into right around the 31st here. Again, we'll let this run one more time. Notice the winds in the Northwest Caribbean freshen up out of the northeast as well. And anywhere you see those greens, those are wave heights above 7 feet. And we could have some double-digit swells on the eastern side of the Bahamas in the exposed waters of the Atlantic, at least for a time, as we get into later tonight and into tomorrow. And speaking of that forecast for Grand Bahama, for Friday, a north wind at 15 to 20 knots, seas building to 4 to 6 feet. There's going to be a quick maximum of seas that will be even higher and close to the double digits in the exposed waters as our front comes through. Once the front passes through on Saturday, winds and seas will begin to relax. But for the rest of this Thursday and into Friday, small craft should exercise caution and really are advised to remain in port. Let that front come through. Let the winds and the seas relax as we get in towards the weekend. Pretty cool water temperature this time of the year, back into around 75 degrees. Okay, so that's kind of the story of the wind. Let's take a look at the rain across the area. Now, I mentioned already that we are going to have some maximum of rain. The Bahamas, the northwest sides of the Caribbean, and portions of Central America, including the Yucatan Peninsula. But I actually want to start with what's been happening for my friends in the Lesser Antilles, and especially into Barbados. Now, look, I mentioned it in the last video. There wasn't going to be a lot of rain in this area in general, but we've had pockets of heavier rain, and some of you have dropped that in the comments in our videos, and thank you for doing that. Let me know again how things are going. But Barbados, as of yesterday, was dealing with some flash flood watches and advisories. There's been some heavier rain there. So I just want to highlight that when you look at the next 5 days here on our model, you don't see a lot of green, but there will still be isolated heavy rainfall amounts in the Lesser Antilles that could lead to some isolated flooding. It's not going to be widespread. There's no big system coming in, but we've had this push of northeast winds, which just continues to drive in a little bit of moisture. We've also had this mid-level low sitting out here, which has just allowed more moisture than what we would typically see for this time of the year to work its way in. And if you've noticed, over the last several videos, I've mentioned that higher rain chances than normal, and that will continue for Hispaniola, for Santo Domingo and Haiti, and my friends in Puerto Rico and the British and U.S. Virgin Islands, for St. Thomas and St. Croix and St. John. We'll continue with this northeast wind, which is going to drive in some rain. Is it going to be heavy? Generally, no. But again, there will be some shower chances. Your best chance will come as the winds do turn more northeast, and that is going to be on New Year's Eve into New Year's Day, and potentially even into the 2nd as well. So a little bit drier now, but higher rain chances coming to places like San Juan and Roadtown soon. Back into the southern sides here of the Windward Islands for Trinidad and Tobago. Again, some isolated showers will continue to crop up, and again, Barbados obviously included with that. And we'll just kind of meander up north right now. And again, I don't see anything concentrated. Nice little burst of rain there towards St. Kitts and Nevis as we get into tomorrow. And again, just additional showers. This is going to be a period where from time to time, we will see some decent downpours. So it's not a completely dry forecast by any stretch of the imagination for Anguilla and Antigua and in Barbuda. ABC Islands, slightly drier, but still the opportunity for a few showers there. So again, if you have New Year's Day plans, all right, maybe some of the festivities you want to take apart with that as well, there will be at least the opportunity for some rain in these areas. Certainly, again, not completely dry, and the better chance of rain does again for the ABC Islands come in New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and on January 2nd. My friends in Jamaica, I've had some reports that again, even though there hasn't been a ton of rain overall, there have been pockets of heavier rain. And that will continue to be the trend. Overall, your rain chances going up. More widespread, more just heavier rain in general for us here. We'll stair step it. Again, For the rest of today, a few spotty showers. For your Friday, a little bit of rain over passing the island, Kingston to Mandeville and Montego Bay. But for Saturday and Sunday, here comes that rain. Again, the winds turning out of the northeast, freshening up to 15 to maybe even 25 knots offshore. And you can see those showers that will continue to just move across the island. The best chance for rain appears to be Saturday and then into New Year's Eve Sunday, and then a little bit drier on New Year's Day and on the 2nd. But overall, again, for this time of the year, it's relatively wet, at least for the next few days. And we'll see that front slide down. We'll see more moisture coming back in. There's even better chance for some heavier rain in the Cayman Islands, by the way, just slightly west of Jamaica. Again, you can see that there's Georgetown and over towards West End. Maybe you're vacationing in the Cayman Islands for New Year's. It's not the best forecast. I mean, it may not be heavy rain, but I would expect there to be fairly overcast skies to go along with this front coming in and your winds freshening up out of the northeast. Now, a little bit probably more in the way of a vacation spot for this time of the year, of course, is our friends in Cancun and Cozumel. And if you're headed there on a cruise ship or just a vacation and enjoy the new year, ring it in there, which should be generally a nice warmer forecast, it's going to be relatively cloudy and wet. Again, I don't want to call it a washout. I think it does begin to dry out a bit on New Year's Eve, and so hopefully any festivities into we ringing in the new year at midnight will be dry, but that moisture does move off towards the south. And if there's one area that I think kind of overall could see some additional high rain totals, it's going to be the coastlines of Belize, Guatemala, and Honduras, including Roatan and Belize City, but especially Roatan. I mean, look, that moisture just kind of sits there and doesn't move very much for the next several days. And there could be some spots of heavier rain. That would include San Pedro Sula and La Chiva as well. So we'll talk more about that. Now back up to the Bahamas. How is this going to play out over the next 5 days? Well, first of all, it is going to be fairly wet here. We've got a couple of fronts coming in over the next 5 days. The wettest one is going to be the one that's going to be moving in now through Friday, and then another one coming in on the heels of that one early into the new year. So we'll take a look at the high-res model for you here. And the rainfall totals could be fairly significant in a couple of spots. I think that there could be some minor flooding associated with this rain. I don't think it's going to be anything extremely widespread. We'll get just kind of a good push of rain coming through, and then it just stays a little bit wet the next couple of days. We're going to pick up this north wind, and we're still going to drive in enough moisture. We'll see some scattered showers, so it's not a completely dry forecast anytime soon for my friends in the Bahamas. Just keep that in mind to go along with the fresh winds that I already talked about. Now, if I go back over to our extended model here, and we'll bring it back out over 5 days. Let's see, a little too far. There we go. And again, we'll look at the GFS model here over the next 5 days. You can see again that the maximum of rain is basically today, tomorrow, and then into early Saturday, drying out on the 31st, a little bit drier on New Year's Day, and then another little batch of rain coming in. Not as wet, though, as we get into the 2nd, but relatively speaking, it's a fairly wet forecast. We'll take a look at the total precip numbers out of this as well. Again, this is going to be what could be falling in your area over the next 5 days. As I do this, thank you so much again for liking the video. Thank you for subscribing if you want the latest forecasts across the Caribbean and in the Bahamas. So here you go. For the end of December and early January, this is a relatively wet map. We'll start again in the Lesser Antilles. And again, some areas, again, the model doesn't paint on, in general, a lot of rain. But we've already mentioned how there have been pockets of heavier rain. And you can see, even towards Barbados, the model says, hey, look, near the island or potentially even over the island, here comes another inch of rain. That could be significant enough in a couple of spots to cause more minor isolated flooding. But again, it's just not completely dry. A quarter to a half inch of rain is likely throughout the island chain. Some areas will get more than others. There's Barbuda coming in at 3/4 of an inch of rain. But again, it is certainly not completely dry. And it's the same thing for Puerto Rico and the U.S. and the British Virgin Islands as well. There's St. Croix, about a half inch of rain over the next 5 days. Culebra and Esperanza, San Juan and Ponce. Again, little maximum with our northeast winds on the northern side of Hispaniola, but even Santo Domingo and Punta Cana have a decent chance for some rain, a little bit heavier rain through portions the northern side of Haiti as well. Well, let's go back down to the ABC Islands real quick just to show you guys there. Again, 1/4 inch of rain, nothing significant. Now, here are your maximums of rains. The northwest side of the Caribbean and then into the Bahamas. I want you to notice that right here, the model is painting on well over 2 inches of rain. That's generally in the open waters. However, it's not far away from Jamaica. So there is the opportunity that if that maximum shifts a little bit west, that Jamaica could get into some heavier rain. But again, this is still relatively significant here, maybe more than an inch, inch and a half of rain from Montego Bay towards Port Antonio, on over towards Kingston. Again, looks like the southern side of the central side of the island, not as much. You would expect this with a northeast wind. More moisture along the northern side of the island, but still everyone is going to get some rain, even to grill, about a 1/2 inch. So let me know how it goes there for my friends in Jamaica. Hope you guys enjoyed all of your festivities for the holidays as well. There's your maximum towards Georgetown there in the Cayman Islands. And then we blow up this rain. And this is something I'll be watching. But again, you know, I think the model's probably too aggressive, but it just tries to show this maximum of very heavy rain on the coastline of Honduras, Roatan and La Chiba, and even towards San Pedro Sula. I don't expect there to be more than a 1/2 foot of rain for Roatan, but keep it in mind that there could be some heavier rain sitting over your area, especially this weekend and into the early part of the new year. Belize City down towards the coastline of Guatemala, again, a few inches of rain possible. And then it's lighter amounts towards Cancun and Cozumel. Looks like the maximum stays just offshore. For the Bahamas, again, I'm not pinging on a crazy amount of rain, but it's still just a wet forecast, kind of a crummy forecast, to be quite honest, for us here. Not many, completely dry days, not many dry periods here, and a very fresh north wind to come along with it. But again, as far as rainfall totals go, nothing too high. We could actually pick up a little bit of heavier rain there towards the eastern coastlines of Cuba, and then back down towards the Turks and the Caicos as well, but about a 1/2 inch overall. So again, you know, on this Saturday, kind of looking at the broad perspective one more time. Let me swing it back out even a little bit wider here. Here we go. Again, front coming through the Bahamas. Fresh winds that'll be pulling through. We've had some pockets of heavier rain in the Lesser Antilles, and for this time of the year, it's simply not completely dry at all. Now, friends, again, it's not just here on YouTube to find us. You can find us through all different kinds of social media. My Meteo Mundo on Instagram, Meteo Mundo on TikTok, Facebook, and we have our email address, mymeteomundo@gmail.com. We are also on X, so I need to update this graphic, and I promise you I will. So the announcement that I wanted to make is that I'm going to be taking a very quick break here on Meteo Mundo. I have a family vacation plan. I'm going to be spending some time with family on this vacation, and I will be back shortly. But I just wanted to let you know there'll be a quick break between our forecast videos, just a little bit more than a week, so not a long time. I want to wish you a very happy 2024. I hope it's filled with all the blessings and all the positive things that you should have in your life. We thank you so much here at Meteo Mundo. Again, we are new. We've only been doing this for about 4 months, and this is just the beginning. There are so many exciting things to come here at Meteo Mundo in 2024 that we're excited to share with you, and we'll be doing that as we go through the new year. But again, it won't be long. I'll be back shortly here, but until then, I want you guys to have a great time. We'll keep you updated, and I will see you shortly right here at Meteo Mundo.